Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus, and welcome to this week's live Q&A. So big hello and welcome to everyone joining either live or on the replay. So each and every week I answer questions from our Patreon and YouTube channel members. They have been able to submit them in advance. Also, our YouTube channel members can join in right now on the live chat, and they can join in and you can send questions in that way. You can also use the super chat function, all of which help support the channel, help support the podcast and the website, all of which makes a massive difference, especially over the last year with Google going through some major changes with how much traffic it sends. So with that, I just want to say a big hello and welcome to some of the people already in the live chat. So you can see some members here. We have got Keenan, I think he might be away, Dana. We've also got Matt, Miles, Khaled, Robert Trolling, Babak, and so hello to all of you. So we've got lots and lots of different questions today, and yeah, some really good ones. So let's start off at the top and go with Kaylee's question, who asked, CBS recently announced that the Late Show with Stephen Colbert will be ending in May of 2026, and they don't plan on a replacement. Is it a sign that late night talk shows are on their last legs? So I'll just add as well, if you can hear a little bit of noise, I do have the fan on next to me. We're still like really hot in the UK and we don't have air conditioning, so it's like that, or I want to just melt away. Nevertheless, let's get into the question. So Stephen Colbert Show has been cancelled. It's going to be ending in May. And this is a story which has got a lot of attention, especially in the United States, about the show, because there's a lot of online conspiracy kind of thoughts about the fact that it could be political. But there's also a lot of financial reasons why this is happening. So let's just deal with the elephant in the room, shall we? Obviously, the political situation in the United States right now is very different. It's very hot. It's very opinionated. And the talk night hosts like Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, etc., have been very critical of President Trump. And obviously, they get a lot of attention. They get a lot of media attention, and Trump doesn't like it. And there's been a lot of pushback. Kimmel especially, who obviously is on ABC and Hulu and Disney Plus. Internationally, the show doesn't air on Disney Plus. It just goes out, little clips of it go out on YouTube. So I will say first off, I watch the clips from YouTube the following day. So I'll usually watch Jimmy Kimmel's monologue. I will usually watch Stephen Colbert's monologue. Seth Meyers, I will usually check his out. I don't bother with Fallon. I don't really like his style. I do really like Jon Stewart when he does the Daily Show. So I will usually watch his one. What's the other one? John Oliver. His is, they don't upload it to YouTube very well, so I don't watch it very often with him. But I do tend to Kimmel and Colbert are definitely the two ones that I tend to watch the most. I like the monologue. The rest of the show, I never watch any of the interviews. The only one, the exception, was this week with Jelly Roll, because the clip involved Randy Orton and Jelly Roll choke slamming Logan Paul through the table. So that was definitely good. So they obviously get back to the topic. Obviously, Colbert had been very openly against what's going on with Paramount and Skydance, because they're going for a merger and they had to pay some money to the Trump organization for CBS's 60 Minutes. And there's this whole conspiracy idea of the fact that part of the deal was they had to get rid of him in order to get the lawsuit through and all the rest of it. Disney also have had to pay this Trump to get out of it. Trump's now put a new lawsuit against, I think, the Wall Street Journal and Fox too. It's all a big mess, and there's a lot of conspiracy theory about it. Now, whether or not any of that's true, I personally think that it is I don't think that's really the true reason for it. I think there's a lot of speculation, a lot of conspiracy theories, and a lot of tin hats that I don't think it helped. But I think the fundamental thing of talk shows is, apparently Puck put out an article saying that they are losing about $40 million a year making the Stephen Colbert Show, and that's a year. Colbert is one of the most expensive people to host. I think it's like 20, 30, 40 million a year, whatever it is. There's about 200 people that work on the show. And the simple truth is, late night talk shows are very different than they were 10, 20, 30 years ago. Podcasts have come about and changed the game. There's a lot more people watching these talk shows on YouTube, and generally there has just been a big shift. This is an old style format of television, and it is dying off. The viewership is really, really coming down, and we are seeing some changes. So Babak says, if the show is struggling, why don't they make some cuts, reduce the number of shows per day, get rid of the band? So Seth Meyers, he lost his band last year. A couple of them have lost one night a week. Some of them have been doing some bits and pieces. So yeah, I mean, there could be that thing of like, they could take some less money to do the show. They might not want to do that. They might not be definitely doing that. The writing, it has been on the wall for a while, that this format is slowly falling away. The move to streaming is pushing away linear. The customer is dying off because there's less and less people that are watching late night television because you can watch the clips on YouTube. And let's be honest, do you need a 200-person team of how much that's going to cost to get those clips, to get the views that they could make a podcast with a fraction of the cost, and they can get away with more. They can do it because Stephen Colbert will not be disappearing. I'm sure he's going to do a podcast or do some other thing else. There is money to be made in another format, and people have moved over to something else. Interviews with interviews like talk shows and promoting and stuff. Do you watch them? Do you ever watch them, or do you just watch the monologue, or do you just watch the monologue on YouTube? Because the interview where you get some, sap sits there and just talks about this latest project, laughs a little bit. It's all very funny. And I mean, it's so dull. It is so dull unless they're being chokeslammed through the table. But this is this kind of thing, really. I think, they are disappearing. Now, obviously, Disney has the Jimmy Kimmel show. So that's the one that's going to impact on Disney Plus, because that is the one that airs on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus in the United States. They don't release it internationally, which is a shame. It would be nice if they did. But Kimmel's apparently contract runs out next year, and he has joked and talked about the fact of retiring. And I would not be at all surprised if Disney does not renew the show. I would be completely honest. I would be more surprised if Jimmy Kimmel Live is actually renewed. The Stephen Colbert show is going to be the catalyst. I think this is going to be the start of something that's going to happen. Now, whether or not the Jimmy Kimmel show just goes weekly, maybe they could go the John, I can't think of it, the guy from HBO. They could go that way and just do it once a week and just turn it into a series like that. That could work quite nicely. But the general idea is doing it as well with a big audience, having all the costs of people coming in, organizing all the guests. You don't need to do that with a podcast. You can just have two people on Zoom, or you can have them in the same room. They will hire an editor because, I mean, let's be honest, they managed quite well during like the pandemic, but you can do these kind of things with so few people now that I just think the concept of the talk show is slowly fading away. And so, as I said, I think the future of Jimmy Kimmel's show is at risk, whether or not he wants to do it, but also more importantly, how much Disney are going to be willing to pay. The advertising rates for these shows are dropping year on year on year. And the audience is moving away, and these shows might be doing well on YouTube, but let's be honest, you do not need a 200-person team to be making a monologue video for YouTube. You don't need that. And the costs and the advertising are just not there in the same scope. So yeah, I do think that the Stephen Colbert show is going to be the first of the dominoes. Now, you could look at it the other way. It could get an extension. So what that could do is, with that one going, it might allow for some of the audience to filter over onto the other shows to give them a bit of a bump, because that might work. But I think there's just too many of them. We've already seen we already saw the late show with Corden. He's gone. The one that they had bring in afterwards, the the one with I can't remember her name, the midnight game show thing. That was awful. That's got cancelled as well. The audience is just not turning up anymore, and I do think that is definitely a problem. So looking at the poll that I put up for you guys, 73 people at 74, 64% of you think it's going to end pretty soon. So I'm just going to focus primarily on this topic to begin with. Dana says, I have a job. I don't stay up late. I go to bed watching Gutfield on Fox and finish watching it on Fox Nation. Yeah, I mean, everyone's got different ways of calming down before bed. I tend to play video games. Aaliyah says, I do wonder if Kimmel's angry reaction is a warning threat to Disney. Yet if the market doesn't support him, they'll fire no renew his show. And I agree with you, they reduced the amount of shows a week. The thing is, Kimmel only already does 4 shows a week. I don't know if they went to 1 show a week, it could work. That might work a little bit better. But I just think, the format is dead. Kelly says, I think Kobo will be fine since he can go the independent route. I've got no worries about any of the hosts. I think they'll all land on their feet at all. David Letterman came out of full retirement by having a Netflix show where it feels different. I mean, he'll definitely do something. I know Netflix and Amazon could get for different projects. Even Disney could collaborate with them. They could do, but I just don't think, in terms of like what they could collaborate on, the trouble is with comedy, and I definitely think talk shows have gone down this way of they have definitely moved to the left for politics, and that's good if you're on the left, or maybe if you're left in the middle. But if you're on the right, you're not going to like what they're doing, and they're all doing it. So there's not a lot of options. So if you are on the right or right middle, you might not like this constant jabbing at what's going on. So therefore, that might put you off. Also, that comedy does not translate as well internationally. I mean, there are some of us that obviously enjoy it, but therefore there is a limited scope globally with what they are doing their monologues about, because it's generally always primarily about US politics. So it doesn't have the big selling point globally. Bubba Trolling says, do you think talk shows will ever work again for streaming? I don't think so, because I think podcasts and YouTube have replaced that format. There's millions of podcasts with interviews that are being done every single day, and I just don't think that you need the format that it is. Miles says, do you think the US talk shows could be more partisan so they could appeal to both the left and the right? I mean, I definitely think that could be a situation where moving back to the middle and trying to be apolitical would only work if they don't then do political jokes. And I think they've kind of, the ones that are currently doing it have got so embedded in it that I think if they stopped doing that or slowed down, plus also, let's be honest, the Trump era is going to give them so much content and so much stuff to talk about that works. So I don't know if it would work. And I don't think, in some ways, there's so little to laugh about with the way that comedy is right now, that politics still seems like one that they can poke the stick at. It's more like on a talk, less like not like a talk show, but more of a travel show. Yeah, I mean, that could work. Ironically, even if it's true, regardless of politics, Gutward, who is on the right, has the highest ratings for talk shows, even the tradesmen. I'll be honest, I don't know who he is. So Fox got banned here in the UK, so we can't watch it. And I don't think I've ever tried watching anything on Fox and stuff. And as Bubba Trolling says, I think they will make podcasts. 100%. I'm just going to keep here on this topic. Dana says it's only a matter of time until he gets cancelled, and I hope that's sooner than later. I'm not a fan of him, and I think he's talentless. Don't care him even on the Man Show either. Yeah, I think that is the kind of thing. There's a lot of people that doesn't really like it, that don't really like what he's been doing. And as I said, you've been saying that it's just a matter of time before. I think it is. And Dana also add, if Cobra and other late night shows want to continue, they will need to become more like Joe Rogan or Bill and have good guests and will be interesting. That's what I think. That's what I think that if they want to continue doing it as a main show, you turn it into like a podcast format. They could seriously cut the budget I mean, especially with Jimmy Kimmel. I know Guillermo is fun. You know, he does the whole drinking thing at the like different events. But let's be honest, they don't need him. He doesn't do anything. And as a security guard, he didn't stop Drew McIntyre coming in the other day and start picking a fight with one of the guests. He just sat there on the chair. I mean, for security, he's not very good. So I think, you know, they could get rid of the band. Doing it in front of a live studio audience, that costs money. They've got to have the building. They've got to have ushers. They've got to have a pre-warm-up act. They've got to have people escorting them, sorting out the tickets, all the rest of it. This is all costs that live in an era of before YouTube. And it just feels like it's the last remaining chunk to go. Don't see a bit of podcast formats. Matt says, I think late night shows will end soon and on all the channels. And Matt also said, I think they're a thing of the past. What are your opinions? Well, I think I've shared that one. Jimmy Kimmel will only go as Kimmel is up for it. According to Dan Murrow, his contract is expected to end next year. Yeah. And he has said in the past that he's considering retiring after his contract ends. But we'll have to see if he's sticking to it or he's changed his mind. I think the trouble is, if he thinks he's going to go in and try and renegotiate for more money, I think he's going to have a problem. The only thing I could think they could do is he gets the same money and he does less work, less shows. That could be a way of doing it. But I also think they're going to do a much, much, much less in terms of how they're doing it. The bigger question is whether ABC would continue to do late night talk shows after Kimmel or go a different route. CBS has stated they wouldn't. So my guess, they'll give it back to locals. Yeah, I think they'll just pop a repeat on or give it back to. I don't think anything's going to be going on. One of the things for sure, people don't watch talk shows as a whole nowadays, regardless of the time slots. They'll catch a condensed version or a clip on the show that's interesting. I'm in that category. I still find myself doing that, even like I do with wrestling. I thought with the move to Netflix, I'd watch more or SmackDown and NXT. That doesn't really work. I still end up watching most of it on YouTube just because I can watch like the highlights in about 20, 25 minutes and get on with it. And it's the same thing with the talk shows. I can watch 2 or 3 monologues in maybe half an hour, and I can catch the best bits of everything. How long? I think it'll be next year. And I think they will. This is, like I say, the start of it. As long as ABC News in keeping the View as the late show morning show, yeah, that's it. Darbeck says Jimmy wants to retire, so I think while it's at risk, I think there's a different reason. I mean, it does give him a get out. He can kind of jump rather than get pushed. The issue with talk shows is they air next day on streaming. They should air at the same time and make irregular streaming segments longer to make it feel more premium. I think with the streaming thing, as long as they do like YouTube, I think each clip just for each person works best. But I don't know if streaming live on Disney Plus or Hulu in the evening, would that help? I don't know. I mean, it probably could do, but I'm sure the local ABC channels don't want you doing that. Yeah, and as Bowick says, his contract does expire. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on this one. Aaliyah says, from what I gather, ironically, it's popularity on YouTube that endangers the show. If it's more popular on YouTube than the original network might not see it worth it. 100%. Yeah, and as Babak says, there's the whole political thing going on with that show. Babak says, if the show is running, why didn't they make cuts? Again, they might not. I don't think it's a case of you can cut stuff, but I think it's just a general gist that they were going to get rid of it. Aaliyah says, Colbert saw the writing on the wall. He knows his show's losing money. So when he said what he said, he hopes to reframe the issue from the market to coach a war. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a weird one. But it's a crazy idea. Let them watch it. It is. I mean, it would make more sense. But I think, again, it comes down to that contract. Let's see what else we've got. Dana loves Get Rare. I mean, he's good. I haven't watched him properly for a while now. I haven't really watched him for a long time. The only one, Tinkerbell says, I watch Kimmel's monologue every day, and I watch the interviews that I'm interested in, and he has a lot of interesting interviewees. Yeah, I tend to just watch the monologue. I don't bother with any of the interviews at all. They're all, for me personally, no matter who's on it, they are generally all very just, he's giving them softballs. There's nothing really that interesting there. So, big thank you to Derek. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you so much for your continued support. You are awesome. I heard Hasbro is doing a live action version of Monopoly. Nerf and Mattel is doing a live version of Hot Wheels. What is your opinions on this? I think Hot Wheels could be fun. I mean, a Fast and the Furious kind of thing. That might work. Or are they going to do it animated? I mean, it depends who you're trying to aim it at. If you're trying to aim it at kids and families, maybe you do it as an animated one, but you don't really want to go down the Cars route. Hot Wheels, yeah, there's a few options they could do. Nerf sounds a bit odd. I mean, how are you going to do a Nerf movie? I mean, it's basically just guns, isn't it? The kids out the street were running around this afternoon shooting each other with Nerf bullets. I mean, maybe the creation of Nerf, maybe that might be a movie like the Nike one. I don't know. It seems a bit odd, really. I don't know how you could do Nerf. Monopoly. I mean, what would you do? I mean, you'd have to come up with some kind of weird story of someone buying up all of the properties. And here's the question. What streets do they use? Where do they set it? Because, I mean, for me, I think of Monopoly, and I'm thinking of Old Kent Road, Marylebone Station, Mayfair. I mean, I don't know in the US whether or not do you have like a New York version of it, or is it still set on the London names? I know every location has a special thing, but yeah, in the US, what version of Monopoly is it? What are the names of some of the streets? Is this Liverpool Station? Was it Old Kent Road? What else is there? Regent Street, Oxford Street, those kind of things. I don't know, but I think Monopoly and Hot Wheels I think could work. I'm not sure about Nerf, but anyway, thank you very much, Derek, for that support. That's a really weird. That's cool. Some cool ideas for some movies, I think. Miles says, what's your opinion on the announcement of the 30th anniversary of the re-release of Toy Story when it returns to cinemas on September the 12th? I just know I feel very old because I went to see the movie when it came out when I was at school, when I was a teenager, because I was really interested in it because it was the first CGI. Actually, I think I was actually at college then. I just feel really old now that this movie is getting a 30th anniversary re-release. As far as it being re-released, I think it makes sense. Why not? Why not try and rinse out a little bit more money on it? I don't think there's anything bad with that one. But again, thank you so much for your continued support. I do know there's a movie being made about the history of Hershey chocolate. I only know that since I saw a set photo where Alexandra Daddario was there in a period piece attire. Okay, so as a Brit, I have to break it to you Americans. Hershey's chocolate is rubbish. Try a dairy milk or a milky or something else. But Hershey's chocolate is inferior to European chocolate and British chocolate. The Americans they've tried bringing Hershey over here. I will admit the Reese's Buttercup. I will give you credit that is lovely. I do like the white chocolate one. Say white chocolate. I don't think there's actually any chocolate in it. It's like white foul. But yeah, Hershey's is not good chocolate. Hence why it doesn't tend to do. They don't tend to sell it over here because the Brits think it's disgusting. Sorry. So I'm not sure if there'll be much interest in that one internationally. Mars says, who do you think could host the season premiere of Saturday Night Live on September the 27th? Okay, I am going to say something here. I don't really understand what you guys think of Saturday Night Live. I think it's awful. Every time I try watching clips on YouTube, I don't think it's understand. I don't get what's so funny about it. Yeah, I don't get it. I know they're going to try and launch the UK version. It will fail just like it's done before. Yeah, I don't get it. I half the stuff Just doesn't make any sense to me. So I am not a fan of it. So that I would say whoever's got a movie or an album out that week would be whoever will be doing it. Because as an American, I agree with you. I tried Cadbury chocolate from an Indian grocery store and it's tasty. However, I don't eat chocolate that much. I eat way too much. I did have a lovely white chocolate Maltesers got released limited time. Babatron says, I like Real Time with Bill. Yeah, I mean, Bill Myers, he can be quite good. I don't mind him. I quite like the fact that he pokes both sides. I think there's some good elements to that. I do like that, that he kind of calls it down the middle a little bit more and, you know, calls out the BS from both sides. But I think that would be a good format of just having someone doing a weekly format like he does. That works better. Yeah. Right, jumping back into the pre-done questions. Connor says, what do you think will cause Disney's sudden change of heart around licensing their content? During the early days of Disney Plus and Star, they were paying to terminate licensing deals. Now they're reverting back and paying Paramount and Warner Brothers for shows and films too. So, first off, let's look at the other way around. Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery are now licensing out their content to whoever will give them money. So these are probably very good, cheap deals that they need extra money for. Disney needs content. Win, win, win. So Disney licensing that content from them is good from the point of view of engagement. And I think that's a good thing. I think Disney getting access to licensed movies and shows is positive. It was funny. We fired up Disney Plus this afternoon. My wife turned to me and goes, why is there all this ITVX stuff on there? She could, yes, I don't know how to explain it all. So that was a bit weird. It did look, that doesn't help when they just load up a load of stuff. So it looked very heavy. And then you got all the Transformers movies and stuff in there, and The Office and all kinds of stuff. So I think that's good. As far as them licensing out their own content, I think they realize they need the money. They need to get the streaming division into profitability, and they realize they were losing out on money. Now, if you look at Disney has used windows for a while. It'll put it out this way, and then it'll put it there, and then it'll put it there. Because after each time it moves, it gets a bump. Because say like let's say for example Renegade Nell. So it ran its course on Disney Plus. The viewership had just been going down. They send it over to ITV, big boost, comes down. And it will reach a bigger audience because it's on free service. After, they obviously cancelled it, so therefore it was just extra money to bring in. Also does mean probably they're not going to now delete it because it's been licensed out and it's made more money that way. So licensing out content, I think I saw as well, The Veil was on Channel 4. They recently added that. That's a really good show. But again, that was added onto Disney Plus last year. It got that boost in viewership. They got the Disney Plus viewers. Now it's about getting extra viewers and getting additional revenue. There is that going on. There is not probably going to hurt Disney Plus at all. It's just going to give them a bit of extra money. There's a reason why Netflix keeps licensing these old shows, because I think like Blind Spot or something had a massive spike because jumped onto Netflix in the US. Elliot says, when Hulu and Disney Plus fully merged, are you expecting a lot more content and the non-Disney Hulu content to end up expiring and leaving? I am not expecting more content. What we are getting is probably what we're getting. We might get a little bit less. The merger is going to allow them to drastically reduce the output to what they've been doing. And this is what I think we're going to see. We're going to be able to see a lot less. Because they just don't need as much anymore now they're all combined. And especially the non-Disney content will be expired. I think some of it will. I think we're going to start seeing more licensed content from some of the other studios dropping on and off more regularly. Kelly said, what are your takeaways from the Disneyland 70th anniversary? It was a bit muted. I mean, I know we had a little bit of a, they did some new merchandise and they had some new parade. And I don't know, I don't feel like there was a lot of excitement for it myself this year. I mean, I still, them doing the 60th anniversary, and I think maybe at the 80 or the 100th, it makes a bit more sense. But Disney do these, they have so many anniversaries that it's pretty much just a case of do some merchandise and just kind of tie it up a little bit and, I don't think 70. I know it's a big one, but it's not. It's, you've done a 60, and then you're going to do a 70, and then you're going to do an 80, and then they're going to do a 90, and then the 100 is going to be the big one. Connor says, with Netflix having WWE as its flagship sport events, could you see Disney Plus acquiring global rights to things such as UFC or Formula One to copy them? I don't know about UFC. I don't know if Disney are going to be able to pay up enough. I think there is a limit. I think Formula One is obviously, I think Apple look like they might be the ones going for it. But Disney are trying to get global rights for as much as they can for the ESPN side of, and obviously that will feed into Disney Plus. I don't think right now we're probably going to see them go for them. The only thing what I think is going to start happening with sports is I think you're going to start seeing them do what they do like with the NBA and the NFL, where they start like splitting up the pay rights so that more studios can get access to it because the costs are getting too expensive for all of it. So I think you're going to start seeing that maybe with Formula One and UFC, where different partners. I think UFC may be more likely to go. I could see them going with Netflix, but Formula One. There is a big problem as well. We're going with Apple, because I think the baseball or the football or whatever it is not doing well. And unfortunately, with sports, they do need to have a good audience in order to have attendance and all the rest of it. Elliot says, do you think there'll be an icon, an expiring icon that allows the show which content will be leaving? It'd be nice to have that. Definitely would be nice to have that. Dana says, I think cable and satellite companies should look to change their business model and stream their plans. Agree. I do, but I think we're too early. I think we're in a bit of a weird zone right now where linear is still bringing in money for them, and it's a slowing business and it's getting smaller and smaller by the day, but it's still too lucrative for them to turn their backs on it. So I think it'll be a few more years, maybe 5 years, maybe even 10 years before they completely just go. Matt says, I think Disney should do more parks collections. I mean, I think the trouble is, I think parks, they've got a couple on there already. I think it's very difficult. I think unless they start doing more park-related content. I mean, they could do a Walt Disney World one, and they could do a Disneyland one. I don't think they've got enough content for Disneyland Paris or Disneyland Hong Kong or China or anything. So I'm not opposed to just having a Disney park section. But I am surprised they don't utilize it more with more theme park related tie-ins. Dennis says, my thoughts are if the Disney bundles with other streaming platforms, Disney should have an option and agreement to have the other platform within Disney Plus as another brand tile. And vice versa, then us customers aren't getting out of Disney Plus. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I think but that sounds a bit more like an add-on, which is a bit like what Hulu obviously does and Amazon seems to be doing very well with. I think from the point of view of having a global platform, it's quite difficult. I mean, Disney Plus could make all the deals that Amazon have got with all those bundles. Personally, I don't like them. I don't really see much value in them. There's not a lot of content coming there. That's my view on that. Elliot says, do you think Disney Plus would ever do a custom curated playlist where subscribers can pick and choose what shows they want to watch? I mean, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to have your own playlists. I think the technology's got to move on a lot more for that. But it'd be nice. Definitely a good feature. YouTube has it. Kelly says, what are your thoughts on Disney Plus doing a live stream of the Fantastic Four premiere? And Babak also said, should Disney live stream all their premieres, including shows and originals? So to me, I mean, obviously they're going to. This is the first time it's going to be doing it for the blue carpet premiere for Fantastic Four. So I'm going to probably be a little bit controversial here. I do think live streaming the live event and the red carpet event is a good idea, and I definitely think it's a good idea live streaming it on Disney Plus. However, I also think that they should live stream it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, because the whole point of the premiere is there to raise awareness of the film to get more. It's a publicity event. So therefore, I wouldn't limit it to just one platform. I'd do it on everything, but I would also do it onto Disney Plus at the same time. So that would be how I would do it. Baba says, do you think ESPN and ABC do matter more than before because they are on Disney Plus? Yeah, definitely. I think ESPN is vital to Disney. I think they definitely view that as a vital brand. And I think they still see a lot of value in ABC as their core channel that can reach a big core mainstream audience very easily. There's a lot of advantages of ABC that reaches a bigger audience. That is hard, that the internet doesn't always deliver. Miles says, what are your opinions on the teaser trailer for Hoppers that was released earlier this week? Okay, Miles, have a lovely dinner. Enjoy your dinner. I just finished mine. I just had a nice hamburger. So you said, what did you think of the trailer for Hoppers? I thought it was adorable. I loved it. It was so funny. I love the fact as well of taking the mick out of Avatar. That teaser trailer, I think, did such a good job of setting the tone of the movie. It feels fun. It feels fresh. It feels interesting. It feels cute. I think that's got months now to build up anticipation. I thought that trailer it had heart and it had fun and it had humor, and I think that was exactly what families want. And I just liked it just seems so nice. And yeah, I feel like Hoppers has got maybe I think that trailer did a really, really, really good shot of doing something. Okay, so let's jump back into the live stream. Let's see what we've got on the questions. Kelly says, I know in India there's a comedian called Kimmel who used to do a weekly show on Sony before he moved to Netflix, and now only does a couple of episodes. The format is just dying, unfortunately. Miles says Illumination is also planning an animated Barbie movie. To be fair, no, there are 150 animated Barbie movies. Yeah, Elias says the Avatar comment on the trailer was also it was really good. I just thought it was so good. Kelly says the streaming bubble has burst and there are too many streaming services that the market can handle. I love that there are streaming deals that once Hulu got integrated with Disney Plus. Yeah, I think it's going to happen. It's thanks to Hulu and Disney Plus that I watch films like Goodfellas, Dude, Where's My Car, and The Batman. Not a typo. I did rewatches of Anger Management, E.T., and Back to the Future trilogy. I mean, you got to watch the Back to the Future trilogy over and over and over again. That's just the law. I don't know if I've actually ever seen Goodfellas. The Batman, I should probably have rewatched it because I really enjoyed the Penguin. I thought that was a fantastic series. I do keep thinking now of next time we get Now or HBO Max, I'm going to need to go through Peacemaker because, yeah, I'm just liking what I'm seeing so far. Kaylee says TKO would be smart to split up the UFC rights since they have multiple partners. Formula One going with Apple since they will lose reach. And that's the big problem for them for doing this one. They were only one. Tinker says Kimmel is calling out BS from both sides, but there's just so much more from BS from one side. Where's that poll? Miles says, in your opinion, and for whatever, do you think Disney was right to end its partnership with the Weinstein brothers in September 2005, especially given what we know? Yeah, I mean, by the sounds of it, it sounds like they weren't very good partners in terms of a business. Yeah, they definitely dodged a bullet, I think, getting out of that deal. Bobatron says the TNT Sports CEO said they can license out streaming rights for their sports. Do you think that Disney ESPN could get the streaming rights for ESPN DTC like NHL on TNT? I don't think so. Because they'll want it for ABC, and so they'll do it that way round. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. The only reason Discovery are willing to license out their content is because they're trying to get money. Ricardo says the idea of Disney trying to sell its stake in A&E is something that they also needed to do years ago to focus only on the Fox IP. I wonder who could be considering Hearst. Definitely. Very weird. Matt, thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you so much. What do you think they'll put in place if the Late Show got cancelled? Probably reruns, maybe news. Don't expect anything new or original. It's going to be just a repeat zone, I think. Maybe I think they're not going to replace it with anyone new. They're just going to maybe even just pass it off to the local networks so they can put some syndicated TV show on. It ain't that time slot is just not going to work anymore. Maybe they could do a repeat of another show or something like that. I don't know. Ironically, ESPN Plus has the replay rights to the TNT games. Yeah. Let's see what else we've got. Disney says they should look into getting more European football for ESPN Fubo. I mean, it depends really on how much viewership there is for European football. There are obviously some. I don't know what you guys think of it. But yeah, I mean, it would make sense for them to try and get more rights for it. Matt says, do you think Thunderbolts will come out July or August on Disney Plus? So my initial thought was that it was going to be end of July. Now the only thing is whether or not we get it. The trouble is we got Fantastic Four coming out next week in cinemas. So if they release it next week or the week after on Disney Plus, they're going to cut into Fantastic Four's PR. I think that's why they moved back Eyes of Wakanda. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if Thunderbolts arrives. It's too late to do it this week. I wouldn't be at all surprised now if it goes into August. I thought it was going to be July, but I don't know. I mean, obviously they got the whole bump into Fantastic Four that it could give it a boost. I can't see it dropping on there this week. And if they drop it the week after, they're just going straight into... I mean, that might be the only option, is if they dropped it like the last day or the first day of August. Okay, let's see what else we've got. Matt says, do you think ESPN will get sports in other countries? So, I mean, ESPN is already on Disney Plus in Latin America and in Australia and New Zealand. We are getting some live sports coming here in the UK. They were getting it in other places in Europe. I fully expect we're going to get an ESPN rollout maybe the same time that America does. Dana says, I watch stuff on Max, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Peacock, and that's why I asked. No worries, that's fine. Yeah, we did that one. Matt says, since you brought up Twitch, that reminded me of Disney's acquisition of Maker Studios several years ago. I think it was perhaps the most mismanaged acquisition, a lot of wasted potential. Disney does a lot of, and Disney has a really bad habit with video games in general and that kind of market. It has made a lot of investments in stuff and just flitted it down the pan. I think the thing with Maker Studios, because I don't know if at the time, I don't know if they were trying to, I was going to join them or not, I can't remember. But I do remember there being a big, they thought YouTube was going to go, everyone was going down networks, these different kind of networks, and that's kind of seemed to have dropped off the face of the planet, that whole platform system. Now it doesn't seem like everyone's doing that in the same way, and people get different companies to sell their ads on the shows, but I don't think they're necessarily doing it where they get a cut and YouTube get a cut anymore. I think everyone kind of wised up to that whole system. Matt says, I think Bob Iger's never really understood the video game industry and even record him admitting such. Yeah, he's talked about this a lot in the past. They have made a lot of bad mistakes for video games. The whole thing with him buying 10% of Epic was because someone said to him about the fact of how much money spent on video games. They have said publicly that they do not understand it very well, and that's why they're going down the licensing route rather than having their own studios again. I was a massive Disney Infinity fan. If you didn't know, actually, before I did What's on Disney Plus, I used to do a lot of Disney Infinity content. That's where I started doing videos. I was really into Disney Infinity. But then they decided at that point they were going to close down all their own studios and go external and just license stuff out, because they just couldn't do it internally themselves. They've sucked at it for a long time. Let's see what else we've got. The questions. Aaliyah says, do you think Disney will win any major Emmys? If so, which ones? I mean, they're going to win some. I mean, they got 138 nominations. I would hope they would get something. I wouldn't be surprised if The Bear picks up a few things. Andor, maybe. I mean, I think Andor definitely surprised some people. I do wonder if Andor could be this year's like Shogun. That might be something that they could do. They're definitely going to pick up some. I don't know if they'll get all of them, because I don't know if The Bear is quite hitting the same mark that it did when it did a few years ago. But I think Andor definitely got some scope to do something. Keenan says, with Lilo and Stitch hitting $1 billion, do you ever think that it's going to happen again and being too soon to have a Lilo and Stitch sequel? So yeah, there's definitely going to be a. I don't know if it's a case of there being too early for a Lilo and Stitch film. I suspect it's 3 years out at least. As far as hitting $1 billion, I think Avatar 3 will hit $1 billion. I think that might be the only movie this year that will do. But I also think we are at a point where we, as like movie fans, we have to accept some hard truths, and I think the studios have as well. The era of big box office hits is over. We are entering a new era in entertainment, and the studios are going to have to adjust. They're probably going to start slowing down how much they make, and probably more importantly, they are going to start very much slimming back on those budgets. Superman is a very good reason right now of a movie that is getting a lot of good publicity because it's very good, but it's too expensive for what money it's bringing in. Now, obviously, there's merchandise, so you can't fully count just what's coming through the box office because they are making money on toys. So looking here, Jurassic Park Rebirth is sitting at just over 559 million, just below How to Train Your Dragon. These movies they're still going to get a little bit, but they're not going to hit $1 billion. I don't see Jurassic Park hitting $1 billion. I think we're at a weird point where those big budgets are a problem. I think the Avengers movies probably are going to be the last big ones for Disney. I think you're going to see the Marvel movies going through a drastic slowdown in terms of budget, but also I think they are going to slow down a lot after. We know next year. I think we're just going to see a lot less. I think they're going to be taking a look at what's happened with their 3 movies this year, Superman, and then going, Okay, so remember you said Superman and Fantastic Four don't have to hit $1 billion since 500 million is a decent enough profit. To be honest, $500 million is probably enough to break even, and obviously they'll make money on licensing, merchandise, etc. The big thing I think really is for both of these movies have to restart their universes and get people excited again. But yeah, I just don't. I don't know. I just don't think that these movies are. Superhero movies are. I think Deadpool and Wolverine was a just an off chance. But I think Avengers: Secret Wars will and Doomsday will do $1 billion, but it's going to be hard. Matt says, when do you think Hulu will fully merge with on Disney Plus? I think we're probably going to get an announcement. If I was a betting man, we have a quarterly results coming up in beginning of August. I wouldn't be at all surprised if that's when they announce they're going to merge them. But it might not merge for another year. Bubba says, how many streaming services do you see being around long term? I mean, I think Disney Plus, Amazon, Netflix will be around for a while. I think Comcast needs to work out what the hell it's doing with its platforms and do some consolidation and some rebranding. Peacock, Sky, whatever they want to do. I think Now TV, I think they need to drastically change their plans, because at the minute it just feels like they're just clinging on to linear customers and not really fully getting that they need to go into streaming. I'm convinced that Warner Brothers is going to get snapped up and Max will get merged in with something eventually. Mao says, how could the recent success the new K-pop Demon Hunters, which launched last month, impact on other studios? They're just going to look to do more anime. Keenan says, according to the Wall Street Journal, DC Studios is going to be doing 2 movies and 2 HBO shows a year, which means dual releases for theatrical and streaming. What do you think James Gunn did right with what the DCU is doing? To be fair, I think this is very much too early to say. I think there is no doubt about it. I definitely think that he did a really good job with Superman. I love the movie. I think it's awesome, right? So I want to put that out there straight away. So I'm not, and I want a strong DCU. Marvel needs a strong DCU to push them to make better movies. If they're both making better movies, we're not going to end up with the slot that we've had over the last 5 years from Marvel, Sony, and DC, where they just were slopping. It was just too much bad stuff coming out. I think they have to have a clearer plan, and I actually still think that it's too much. I think that 2 shows and 2 movies a year is, I don't think the superhero genre can support that anymore. I think we need a drastic cutback, and I know they probably don't want it, but I think we're at a point where superhero fatigue is real. And it's happening. We're seeing it in real terms. And I know people talk about the quality and all the rest of it, and that's definitely impacted it. But people are bored. People are bored of it all. It's just been too much. And I think they really need to scale back. Last few pre-done questions, and be live for the rest of the show. Aaliyah says, the Taste of ITVX collection is only available on Disney Plus in the UK. Is that correct? Yes. So it's just UK. I think it's Ireland as well. If worldwide I can't find it, yeah, that's because it's only in the UK. Again, this is a UK only promotion. If only UK, why won't Disney Plus have a Taste of ITV collection worldwide? Well, the big reason is primarily because the Taste of ITVX is to try and get British people to try out ITVX, which is a free platform. It's a cross promotional thing. So if you haven't got ITVX, I mean, they could maybe do something with BritBox. Maybe that might work. But also it helps with going after British audiences and British quotas. So it's very much a local benefit, really. It's not really for the US. Keenan says, Dancing with the Stars announced their season premiere on Tuesday, September the 16th. Who can be expected as celebrity contestants? I know that Robert Irwin, the Steve Irwin's son, is doing it. Now, I am going to put my hands up here. Every time I look at the lineup and every time I do articles about the Dancing with the Stars celebrities, I know none of them. So my guess is that this year there is going to be a load of people from TV shows I've never watched. So Aaliyah says they have the South Korean collection, but I was wondering why not the British. There is a British collection, isn't there? We have a British collection. Do you not have a British collection on Disney Plus in the US? We definitely have one. I'm just wondering if yeah, I thought for definite we have. Let me just open one up. I'm just going to fire up Disney Plus. Let's go in. Let's share a screen. There we go. So search collections. Yeah, we have the Made in UK and Ireland collection. So we have the Asian Spotlight, Made in Australia and New Zealand collection, Made in Korea, Made in Europe. I know Canada does have a collection, but we don't have that one. They have an O Canada collection. So we do have, here we go. Yeah, Made in the UK and Ireland collection. There might just be local ones. But yeah, so we do have a UK collection and we have an ITV collection. I thought 2 we did. Yeah. Oh, and so Elias, the one on Tinkerbell says, in Germany, we have a German collection. Are you checking with the... I'm not going to mess about with that because I'm doing my live stream. If I start going on that, I'll be disconnected and go through all kinds of stuff. But that's the UK version anyway. So, okay, there we go. Right, last 2 questions. Miles says, could they live stream the premiere of Hoppers next year? I think it depends if enough people watch the Fantastic Four one. I think that's going to be the big success of that one. Bobek says, how successful or what you need to do you think it will be? Or do you think Disney should put it on this and SC on YouTube? I do think putting SC Plus and What You Think You Know on YouTube would obviously reach a bigger audience. But I also think getting them onto Disney Plus, this is, again, just getting people used to the idea that this content's in there. It's cheap content to make. It's cheap content to make. Yeah, I mean, I think a bit of a weird one. Right, we're going to be on live for the rest of the show. Ricardo says July 24th is going to be the day when Hulu is fully owned by Hulu. Will there be any special streaming that day? No. Because the trouble is this is kind of like one of those things of, just because it's happening that day, we might not know. We might get a press release telling us they've completed it. We might not even get a press release. I'm not expecting a big announcement or a big launch on the day. Now, when they do a full announcement, there'll be plenty of coverage, but I'm not expecting anything on that day. They tend to like to do it, like I said, on the quarterly investor calls, because it's a good way of boosting up the stock price, and that's when they tend to like doing this stuff. In the UK, have you got the Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes? Let me just have a look for you. I have seen it in the past, I think. Skibbity bop. Fantastic Four. No, I thought we did have it. We haven't got it anymore. We got the Fantastic Four animated series. We got the 3 previous movies. Yeah. So yeah, it's not on there. It used to be. I'm sure it used to be on there, but not anymore. Leah says 100 days would be August 10th, so it will probably appear around then. I think that would make sense. That might make why they bumped Eyes of Wakanda back. Matt says, how long do you think Paramount Plus will last? I don't think it's going to last myself. I think Skydance are going to probably do the Sony route. I think they're going to license. Kelly says, I hope that the next Disney CEO understands video games. I know Iger paved the way for Kingdom Hearts to be greenlit, but it's an underutilized IP. I think as the company moves on, as the new people come in underneath, you might have a better chance. I think the big problem as well is age. A lot of these CEOs, they seem to be going for like people 50s would be still young, 60s. I don't know about Josh DeMario, whether he comes in. But yeah, I think the trouble is you've just got a generation that doesn't understand it. Maybe in a decade or two, they'll have people in there that like think of video games in the same way that books and movies and music. I view video games as a massive part of just like the way I entertain. I don't really understand why Disney seems to have really missed it. Matt says getting Star Wars to do more live action TV series. I think we can very easily say that after Ahsoka season 2, we ain't gonna be getting another. I don't think we're gonna get another live action series after Ahsoka 2. I think that's done. I think we're gonna get Mando. I think we're gonna go back to one movie maybe every year or every 2 years. I think we might get. I think we could get an animated series a year. So obviously we got that new Darth Maul one coming next year. But I think Disney Plus will just get an animated series. I don't think we're going to get any more live series after Ahsoka. They have killed the golden goose. Matt says another example of how little Disney understands a video game is not recognizing how popular Kingdom Hearts is and how they've been able to capitalize on it to its fullest extent. Yeah, they just really dropped the ball on that one. Really dropped the ball. You can see here, I mean, I've got just, where is it? Just here. Here's Sora, my Kingdom Hearts pop. And if I go here, you can just see my shadowless soft toy. So you can see I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan as well. So I'm definitely in that zone. Thank you so much for Jonathan for being a member for 24 months. And happy Labor Day. So when's Labor Day? Is that today? Monday the 1st of September. So we've got a little bit of time to go. Is it Labor Day in another country? You have to let me know where you are, Jonathan, because at the minute, May 1st. I'm just looking here, see where it is. Yeah, so Labor Day's a while off. I don't think we have it here in the UK. Kaylee says, I read that Brie and Olivia Colman are doing a limited series for FX. I know there's potential for a large reach since Disney has more subscribers. Yeah, I mean, it will reach a bigger audience with Hulu. Plus, I suspect it will go on the FX channel. Matt says, are you looking forward to the new Alien show? Yes, definitely. 100% looking forward to that. Matt Dana says, do you think Fox One will do well? Thank you very much for being a member for 48 months. That is amazing. What's that, 4 years? That is absolutely fantastic. Do you think Fox One will do well? I know I'll get it. The thing is, I think, are you still a cable customer? Because I think you'll get it if you're a cable customer anyway. Because that's what the whole point of Fox One is, just to allow their cable customers to have a streaming app. And I think maybe try and get people to, if they haven't got it, to get it. But if you enjoy Fox content, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a no-brainer to get, you know. Matt say, would you say one of the biggest cons of the long-lasting cinematic universe is that it goes longer, the more expensive the returning actors get? Yeah. And this is why we need to start embracing recasting. Disney, we have to get used to it better. I mean, we've done enough Batmans and Supermans and Superman, and, you know, we've had enough of these different people, but the MCU seems to be in this weird state that no one's really accepting it yet. Maybe Secret Wars can be the reset. Elias says, so Lilo and Stitch cost 100 million, so the profit was 300 million. The rest is the bonus. Now it's being $1 billion film. It's bragging tier for Disney. Definitely a reminder about budgets under control. 100%. And this is what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to bring those budgets in much slower. You are going to start seeing movies with fewer special effects. They're going to be shorter. They're going to look at ways of trimming movies. So I think with Lilo and Stitch, there was some stuff from the animated series they cut because they couldn't afford it. And I think we're going to start seeing that with some of the superhero movies where they stop trying to do this. The scope is too big and it's too expensive to make. Matt says, what do you think of the new Star Wars movie next year? How will it do? I think Mandalorian and Grogu will probably be $500 million, if that. If it can do that, it'll be good. I'm not expecting a lot. Matt says, do you think we'll see the Eternals again? I'd like to. I really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was really good. I liked it. I mean, I would like them to wrap the story up. I do think it would be nice to have one. Elias says, I agree. The only way that Marvel and Disney will realize that 2 movies in 2 years is too much is when they underperformed. Yeah, I think that. I think one series a year is probably sufficient. And I think 1 or 2 movies a year is probably sufficient. I think if you're doing like Daredevil Born Again, you can get away with it. And I don't count the animated shows. You can do Spider-Man and X-Men. You can throw them in there and they won't impact. But maybe with Daredevil, when you start adding in some of the other characters, you could do it. Or maybe you alternate between Daredevil and like the Champions series, and you make them more into team up series where you can like interswap different characters and do it that way. Kelly says, I think to say comic book movies are heading in the direction of pro wrestling where it's not mainstream but more niche and they have to have smaller budgets. Yeah. I think it's just that niche. We went through the peak, we've gone through the trough, and now we're in the readjustment period. Aaliyah says they have the South Korean collection, so I'm wondering why not British. They might not have made it global. Matt says, will we get more collections when Hulu? Oh, yeah, 100%. They'll probably do a whole different bits. Matt says, do you think Disney Plus will put the making of Ironheart and Agatha all along on Disney Plus? The fact that Agatha has never been put on Disney Plus already, probably no. And I don't know if they will do a making of Ironheart. I mean, they might have filmed it and therefore might have it already in the bag, but I don't think so. The one on Tigbo says they have the UK collection in Germany, so they must have maybe made it for the whole of Europe. What did you think of the trailer for Tron Aries? I haven't seen it. So here is what happens sometimes with me. I get to a point where if I see a trailer, and when I see like either a teaser trailer or the first trailer, and I like it, and I want to see it, I try and go, because it's too easy for me to get stuff spoiled, because obviously I'm writing and doing videos and stuff about things, but I try and stay as spoiler free as possible. So it's like with Fantastic Four, I haven't watched any clips or trailers for months for that movie. I want to go in with the least amount knowing possible. I like the first trailer, Tron Aries. I am going to go see that at the cinema. I liked Tron, and I like Tron Legacy, and I like that first teaser trailer. That sold me on it. I will go see it. Yeah. And it says in the UK we don't see it. We only see specific content for Made in Korea. They're the Beatles and Doctor Who collections. Yet I want, from what I can see, I think some of these ones are. Again, the US gets a little bit different. Matt says, I like to see a collection for Robbie Williams, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think like it would be quite nice to have like an area for like actors and directors, but I think you can only kind of have the big boy, or, the big ones. You can't really have everybody, because otherwise it just turns into Wikipedia. But if you went in there and there was a Benedict Cumberbatch section and Chris Hemsworth and Macaulay Culkin, you only really can have the big ones in there. Bobatron says, do you think Disney will tell us when Star renamed to Hulu at the next earning call? Yeah, I think we're gonna have a full rebrand when that happens. Miles says it's a good move for Disney to debut the teaser trailer for Hoppers while Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four ahead of its new release. Yeah, I mean, also they can pop it in cinemas. I think also because it came out with Elio, a lot of people have seen it, and I think it does seem to have done a good job of getting people excited for it, which is good. Aaliyah says that Josh alerted Iger to the popularity of video games, which gave them an edge in the internal search for the CEO. Yeah, good. That's why they've spent a lot of money. One on 18 says I think they should keep Thunderbolts as far away from Fantastic Four release as possible. In the next weeks, they want Marvel fans to go to the cinema and not watch Thunderbolts at home. Yeah. Matt says, do you think shifting gears will be good this year? I haven't seen the series yet. I've been I saw it on Disney Plus this afternoon. I did say to my wife, do you want to watch it? She's like, no. So I need to check that one out. I've just been so busy. Aaliyah says, unless Ahsoka dominates on Nielsen, or even then, no more live-action Star Wars Disney series for Disney Plus. No, I think they're done. I think Disney are done with them. I think they didn't perform as well as they wanted. They're too expensive. I think that's the big problem. And they've damaged the brand. I think they're going back to live-action movies, animated series. That will be what we get. Thank you, Miles, for being a member for 9 months. Thank you for your continued support. Could the trailer for Ellen McKay be the first feature film by James L. Brooks, 15 years debut with the Fantastic Four? Maybe. I mean, it would not be bad. It depends on if it's kind of, are they going for the same audience? I think that's going to be the big thing, really, is whether or not it's the same audience or not. Barak says, does Disney have to pay royalties on the music they put on Disney Plus? Yeah, there'll be some kind of deal they'll have to pay someone. Mara says, what do you think of Andor being on ITVX as part of their partnership? Well, again, it's season 1. So this is like a 2-3 year old series. It will help boost up people watching it. It will get additional interest in, maybe people go, oh, I'll get on. I might go on to Disney Plus and get the second season. I mean, at the end of the day, the buzz for Andor is kind of over now. So the first season getting a load of views on the mainstream is going to help with more interest in the show. It's extra money for Disney Plus, extra viewership for the first season. More people get to see it. It's kind of win-win-win. There's not more people going to be coming in to watch that show anymore. It's done what it needed to. Now it's on to the next window. Barbara Stronic says, I'm a Hulu Live subscriber. Will I get Fox One? I think so. Yeah, Caleb says, he said it will be available for existing pay TV subscribers. Myra says, do you think the trailer for Mando and Drawing will debut during the Fantastic Four or Tron Aries? I'm gonna check. I'm actually gonna go for secret option 3. I think it's gonna go with Avatar. I think it's too early. I don't think with Mandalorian and Grogu they need to go so early, because we know what Mandalorian and Grogu are. We know what it is. I don't think we need it, because people know who they are, and I don't think it's going to benefit putting it out too early. I think they might wait for Avatar. Maybe do it like November, and then you put it out with Avatar. Mark says, in your opinion, why do you think that Marvel's Ironheart wasted its talented cast and crew? I don't think they wasted it on purpose. I think the script was bad. I think the concept was bad. I think the idea of the show was bad. It was a show that was dreamt up pre-Endgame. It was pre-Disney Plus. They got greedy. They just saw money and literally went to Marvel, make as much stuff as you possibly can. And they all lost their minds a little bit and created a load of shows and movies that the core audience, a lot of them didn't care about. And with characters that the audience didn't care about, because they didn't really care about them in the comics. Ironheart is, I think, it's the last project of the live action side of Marvel from the Chapek era. And that's it. The only one, Tinkerbell thinks the trailer for the one and only for Tron Aries looked cool. Ironheart was made during a time where Chapek greenlit too many shows and didn't pause for quality control. Yeah, and I think as well of the whole world has just shifted so much in those 5 years since the show got announced. We've gone through the whole diversity thing. Let's not kid ourselves. It literally dropped at the worst time when everything is been at its peak of hatred and abuse, and that hasn't helped it. But it also I just don't think it was a very good show. When do you think the Fox app will launch? I think it's in time for the new football season, and which is what Caleb said. Matt says, besides Star Wars and Marvel, what movie are you looking forward to next? Tron's definitely the big one. So we've got Tron and then Zootopia 2. I'm not going to bother going and seeing Freaky Friday. I'll wait for that Disney Plus. I don't need to worry to see that one. I think my next movies this year will be Fantastic Four this week. Then I'll go see Tron, Zootropolis, and Avatar. I think that's probably going to be me for the year, I think. I agree with you. Be wise with Ash. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. Dennis says, I don't need a cable sub for Fox One. No, you get it if you've got a cable sub, you get it. But if you don't have a cable subscription, you will be able to get Fox One to get access to it. It's kind of their way of getting through it. But they don't want to say it is, and it's a bit weird. Fox is still trying to cling to linear. Matt says, what do you think Sony needs to do with their Spider-Verse movies to get them better? Not do them. Just hand the keys over to Sony and say, can you give us 50% of the money? Do what you need to. That's what they need to do. Aaliyah says, unless Dominique, Sasha, or Regan are announced for Avengers Doomsday, I don't see any other reason to watch Ironheart. For now, it doesn't seem to be part of the main MCU. To be honest, if you took what's it? Okay. Menstro, yeah, whatever. If you take out Sacha Bowen's character out of it, a lot of people would have thought that series sucked even more. That kind of saved the show at the end because it was a good finale, but I didn't really think much of it. I didn't like it. Miles says, on the topic of Avatar, could the teaser trailer debut with Fantastic Four? Maybe. Wouldn't be a bad idea. When do you think they're going to do a Young Avengers? I don't think it's going to be Young Avengers. I think it's more likely going to be a Champions TV series because all those kids are cheap enough that they can chuck in a TV series. And I don't think the cinema goers are going to go see them. You chuck a Young Avengers name out there, you are damaging the Avengers brand, and you are putting out subpar superheroes. You're just gonna, and they're gonna need some boy members because at the minute the team is too stacked to girls, and that's just not gonna work. I mean, you've got Ironheart, American Chavez, Miss Marvel, and Cassie Lang and Bishop, and I think we've got. I mean, what have we got? Wiccan and maybe Speed. Those two could add to it. Maybe the Hulk kid, they could do something with him. But maybe if you've got Vision, but I think they need to bulk up on the boy side a little bit. If Ironheart was released a year after Wakanda, I would have watched it. I think they should have I think they probably would have been better off getting it out the way 2 years ago. I think that would have been worse. Right. On that note, guys, thank you very much for all your support. Thank you very much to Miles and Matt and Derek for your super chats. I really appreciate your support. It really does mean a lot. I'd also just really like to thank everyone in the live stream. My voice is drying up. I can feel it. So again, big thanks to everyone in the live stream for your questions. Loads of us coming in here, so it was really great. Next week, we'll be back same time, same place, same channel. And on that note, guys, thank you very much, and I shall see you soon. Nanu nanu. See you later.